Hey, welcome back to the Verbal Tea Party, where we focus more on our own inner voices than those around us. I'm Globe, your host, and as you know, we have been covering fatherhood because Father's Day, why not?
Dad!
No.
Dad! Dad! It is you!
We've been having some radically honest conversations on the blog as well as in our episodes. And you know me, as is my brand, I'm taking it to another level today with this special guest. And I know you guys are probably tired of hearing me say every guest is special to me, but this guest is truly special to me. They are a master of words. They are the reason I write so confidently and present and perform so confidently because I get it from them. It's in my veins because of them. I am so happy to introduce to you all my father, Papa Mac.
Hello. So glad to be here. Honored.
I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the tea party.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here. Glad to be invited, but I'm glad to see you in your sphere of atmosphere of what you're doing. I'm just excited to see you finally getting into this, and I know those that watch are enjoying you as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I still feel new to it, but it feels good. It feels good. And I've wanted to have you on. I knew I wanted to have you on way back in Thanksgiving when I came to visit you. I knew I wanted to have you on, but I wasn't ready to launch the show yet. So I'm glad we made it.
Everything has a timing, and um, probably felt more comfortable now having me on, but I'm just glad anytime, even if it was no time, because your time is my time. So when you shine, I shine. So I'm just glad you allowed me to shine in your glow. That's all.
Speaking like a true father. Thank you so much. Before we get into what you wrote and get into that whole conversation, just tell people more about yourself. Tell them what you do.
Well, first I am a father, which I am so proud of. Uh, I am a husband. Glad to be a great grandfather to great grandkids. Um, by vocation and by passion, I am a pastor and work entrepreneurial for a while until he called me to the next place where I can use the gifts that I do have to compel them to the faith that I believe in. And I'm truly entrenched into that at this moment. And that's part of who I am. I'm just a loving, caring, sharing um, person that's been embedded through me, through my parents as well.
Mhm.
So I still feel like I'm indebted to them and I'm living out how they taught me, even though I have my own ways. Um, and that's just who I am. I am who imparted into me and gave me the opportunity to grow. So beyond all the other accolades, it's just I'm a part of who put something into me, good, bad, and indifferent, and gave me opportunity to be um, subjective, that I could dissect and find right and wrong from my own view, that it became
Mhm.
who I am. So, like the fish, take the meat and throw out the bones.
Oh, yes. Oh, you guys, did you hear that? He's a pastor. So you're going to hear some really good stuff. So you're going to get some real good soul food today. But yes, and I would like to say, I really wanted you on because I kind of watched you grow into a father. You
Hmm.
became a father really young. And so my understanding of it, and I'm sure your relationship with it is
Yeah.
different, a different point of view, because I remember you being my age and me being like a cognizant human being. I remember the twists and like your different hair phases. I remember all of that.
Yeah, it's not there any longer for me. But yeah, it's definitely an a evolution.
Mhm.
Um, it's not how you start, but how you end, and how you find a resolution in the
Yes.
midst of altering and adjusting. You have to find a place of resolution. And I am who I am now, not because of everything good, but what I resolved to find what was right. So I'm glad to be on this podcast that I can actually begin to express that may have been a blessing to others in other ways. Is it was what came from fatherhood that managed me to be able to be who I am. So I'm just happy to express. So
Yes, and I knew you have it in you, so I'm so happy to have you. But before we get into the meat, I ask everyone this, so I'm going to ask you, what is your relationship with journaling?
wow, it has changed over the years. I used to be um, a jotter. No, I used to be a journal. I used to journal
Mhm,
everything. Time took up a lot of space, and with my studying and the reading, I became a scribbler. Um,
mm,
I would write on any piece of paper, um, and the
okay,
mindset that I had that whatever I write now becomes law. It becomes memorized inside of me.
mhm,
So from that point to now, I don't journal as well as you say everyday journal, but I'm always jotting something down that's adding to what I may have journaled before.
mhm,
So I keep those core values on what I have, and as I meditate on it, it flows. So I'm seem like I'm just adding to that which has been journaled,
mhm,
um, but I do my own self examination every day, and that's not so much of a journal as it is a lifestyle. So
mm.
and I allow the progress of that to be seen um, through what I do and how I help people. And now I'm helping people every day, all day. I see me every day. So
You're right.
I have to examine myself so that I can be able to give good advice, good counsel, and be patient in somebody else's process. So
Yeah.
that's how my journal may be now. I'm just a real jotter instead of a journal. But when I put it all together, it makes sense. Um, but a major part of my journal comes in my introductions of how I may present a thing, and I'm always
Mhm,
presenting something. So I kind of cheat with my journal by putting in a part of what I need to journal inside my intros, inside my conclusions, a
mhm.
little bit of my body so I can get away with it. And it becomes me. So I become excited, and my excitement can feed into others. So I guess that's how I'm getting away with it.
Yeah, I would say there is a lot of reflection in your sermons, in your Bible studies, and even when you're coming up with ideas, it seems like you're documenting your either your past journey, your
Yeah.
current epiphanies, or what path you're trying to embark on next. I hear it all the time. Like I know exactly where you are, where you've been, just from listening to your messages.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful to know, because a lot of people don't know me in that realm. They hear it, enjoy it, and keep moving. They may wonder where it come from, but to see somebody to know how it comes organically and not through a YouTube, not through
Mhm,
a replay of something else, but deep, like you said, from a past experience, failure, resolution on what you found within myself that makes it easier to express. So that means a lot to me, what you just said.
I mean, it's me. Remember, it's me.
Yeah.
You taking me out on my first day at Ruby Tuesday, and then the spirit hits you, and you're like, "Oh, we need to write this down."
Wow. Wow. Who would have thunk it?
Yes, that's you. You've been a jotter ever since I've known you, but I've also seen you spend intentional time, even just getting your messages together or just studying. So I know that journaling has always been a spiritual practice for you.
Yes. A lot of people look at my presentation because I do a lot of things without notes, and it seems it comes off the hip.
Hmm.
But they don't know that everything I have said, I've written somewhere, somehow, sometime. And if it's real to you, you never have to. Um, you'll never forget it. It may not be said verbatim, but it's a part of you, and that
Hmm.
all comes back from journaling. That all comes back from jotting. Um, and the best way I can put it is if you were headed to on a desert island somewhere, or you're headed to Las Vegas and you get caught on the road side of the road and you have no gas and it's middle of the night and somebody pulls up beside you and their name is a crazy name that you can't really remember, but they give you $300.
Mm.
They take your car there. They pay for your food. They give you a plane ticket, whatsoever. I promise you'll never forget his name.
Yep.
Because when something becomes life, it
Mm.
becomes life to you. So when you take and intentionally make things life, then it'll become a part of you. So it doesn't have to be traumatic, but if you jot it down, it becomes life to you, which makes it easier for you to give out to somebody else. So
Yeah.
just my thought.
That's the truth, and science backs that. It does help you remember
Mm,
things better. It helps you reflect on things better and gain perspective with more depth too. That's a scientific fact. So
wow.
yeah,
I need that name. You got to give me that name so I can use it.
yeah. I will. Okay, so journaling is a spiritual practice for you. It's habitual. You journal actively through how you
Hmm.
pour into to other people and how you reflect back on that. Cool. Well, I guess we've got ourselves warmed up. So the next part is we are going to get into the journal entry that you wrote on fatherhood.
All right. All right. I'm going to show my age here a little bit, but just tell me when you're ready and I'll be ready to proceed. Um, I put a name towards it, and
Mhm.
you gave me what does fatherhood, how has fatherhood impacted me? And what I put was this. I hate to put my head down, but it says fatherhood wide open. Fatherhood has impacted my life that has left me wide open to fear, to family, to focus, and to a forever freedom. Fatherhood wide open, meaning nothing withheld, nothing hidden, nothing missed, and nothing and nowhere to escape. The impact of fatherhood as father leaves your DNA on display.
Mhm.
On display is not only your looks, not only your gifts, not only your talents, but also your faults, your failures, and your fears that have been recreated in a wide open space, but wide open enough to recognize, to rectify, to reset in order to raise and to rear yourself through your seed.
Mhm.
Fatherhood also leaves you wide open to the fear factor. Not all fear is bad. It's not a fear of not possessing, but the fear of producing. It's not the fear of failing, of not having enough to what it takes to succeed, but the fear of not having enough to sustain it. Fatherhood left me wide open to look in the mirror and recognize, reset, and rectify things within and without of me in order to raise and rear me again through my seed. Fear led me to protect, to provide, to raise correctly, to posture my seed, to preserve my seed, and to see my seed on their own pathway to the place of perfection. In real fatherhood, the responsibility of tomorrow's family's future rests within how a father responds in the wide open world of culture,
Mhm.
the wide world of chaos, the wild world of conflict, and the wild worlds of the cries,
Mhm.
and the crisis of a failing society. Fighting the failed father's norm of the statistics that says fathers are hiding versus habitating. The
Mhm.
father's hurting instead of helping, fathers belittling instead of believing, fathers molesting instead of maturing, fathers traumatizing instead of triumphing, and
Mhm.
most of all, fighting the stigma of fathers avoiding and unknowing instead of affirming. And
Mhm.
all of this happens in the wide open. The impact of fatherhood has made me wide open by helping me to initiate a new focus mindset to service, to strategize, to a place of service, to strategize, to sacrifice, and to create a spirit to sustain that has helped me to survive and has helped me to strive toward excellence. But the greatest impact fatherhood has given me is simply to be called daddy, not in name alone, but in reverence of responsibility that I equate to as respect. One can be loved and not respected, but to be respected because of a defined love that's not from monetary allowance and not from a material possession is a forever freedom of satisfaction. But to be respected as daddy, that's my heart. That's my intentions and my life goal is to see my seed succeed and realize that it's a forever freedom from every shortcoming, from every mistake, and from every bad decision. And with this freedom, it unlocks the treasures of my being. Now, this just isn't impact, it's truly a heart wide open to love at all cost. Because fatherhood is the willingness to adapt, to align, to accept, and to anticipate nothing but the best in that which you have poured into. So, in my conclusion, I've been wide open since the day I was informed I would be a father. I've been amazed upon birth, and I have been I cherished it while I was rearing it. And now I'm marveling by the manifestations of what it has become. And with all of these moments added together, I'm proud to say that I'm a father's whose heart is voluntarily wide open. Fatherhood wide open. That's what you have.
Oh my gosh, no, you did not write a poem for us.
Ah,
I love it. Oof, there's so many great points in there. I don't even know where to start. The DNA part. Okay, so fatherhood having your DNA on display.
yeah.
That is powerful. I want to ask you to elaborate on that more. Can you tell me about a moment where as a father you were like, "Wow, these kids are mirrors."
um, Once I begin to go beyond the looks and I begin to see the mannerisms,
Mm,
and some of those things are, taught, some of those things are copied. But when
mhm,
I begin to see some of the things I wanted to do, some of the likes and some of the ambitions, some of the mindsets that was being brought up, I understood that that was a DNA. Um, and not just the good, but some of the bad. Um, how to react to things, how to
mm,
respond to things and not react. And it caused me to, I had to go to the word and I saw a scripture and it was dealing with Abraham and there was some situations going on there. But I found out right then and there that God has called his father first before he called him, but his father stopped. And
mm,
I realized that God was harsh with Abraham because his father stopped.
mm,
Now he was further along than anyone else, but I realized that you only start where your parents stopped.
mm,
They may have helped get you to a certain place, whether socially, whether economically, whether mentally, all of those. And it's your due diligence to recognize what stopped them. Why did they stop? And you must overcome that. It can easily be criticized, but you can find yourself being paralyzed by it.
mhm,
But once you realize it, know that as far as they went. And I had to evolve in person and in place so that I can set a higher parameter for you not to start on, but that you can be propelled in.
ooh,
Um, and then the things that I did do wrong, I wanted to be very transparent. So you didn't have to become it in order to know that that's not what I should be doing. Because the norm can become the norm if it's not expressed that that was a fault, that was a fallacy, that
mhm,
was lazy, that was subpar. Um, so that's what when I found out that my DNA was actually on display. And at certain times, you can't blame the cake that you baked
mm,
through DNA and through rearing, you know. And like a cake, all things do take time, but it's your job to take time to ensure that nobody stomps on the floor too long and busts the cake up. Which means, you know what. In the meantime, I didn't do that right, and I want to be as transparent as possible in any ways. And it may have been harmful at times, might have been hurtful at times, but I didn't want it to become the norm in a sense. So that's the DNA on display.
I love that. You just gave a huge gem regarding breaking generational curses. That's really what it
without
is in action.
without saying it.
Yeah, without saying the buzzword, but you explained it very well. It is being able to see yourself and your child seeing the ingredients or the temperature that you set. Like, oh, this is me. How do
Yes.
how do I step further so I can bring them further so that cake can be in a better spot when we take it out the oven.
And there's some issues that may be so damaging and may be so traumatizing that you can't be the rescuer of what you created.
Mm,
Because there's times that um, you can't talk bad about the equation. You can't talk bad about the answer when you help make the equation.
mm,
And when I found that out, I've been married before. There's been a divorce in my life. And I realized that there's going to get a certain point in my children's life that I can't help deliver them from the stronghold I created.
mm,
But in my transparency, I can help them to see that there's a better way through
mhm,
someone else, that there's a better prototype that I may not be, and hold you to that you don't have to make the same mistake. You don't have to make the same decision. So that's the part of rectifying and recognizing and rectifying and bringing upon a resolution, not selfishly. Because guess what? I'm free. I'm happy. But yet my child can be in a stronghold when they reach that crossroad. So in the meantime, I'm creating a bridge, even if the bridge look like somebody else.
That's true. And I will say that as your child,
Hmm.
and as you know, now a wife, that is something that has really helped me is your transparency because I don't have to search and dig for clues because it's very hard to be honest with your children about not being perfect. It
Yeah.
can be it can be difficult, especially if you haven't done the work.
Yeah.
However, we need that. Therapists, psychologists will say that a lot of the issues that people experience go back to childhood, go back to parents. And so being a parent, being a father at that, protecting me by being honest with me, it's been a game changer for me.
Yeah. And I coached for a long time in basketball.
Hmm.
And I can't be a coach and I know my players and I know what need to be done. I know the defense. And then we win and they prop the coach up, and I take all the accolades. But you can take that accolade, you're gonna take that accolade. Can you take the accolade of why you lost?
Mm,
That you didn't prepare them for this part of the team, this part of the game
hmm,
where it came there and you couldn't understand that defense. No, no. You got to go back and you got to take ownership. And I still take ownership um, of things that I could have done, should have done. And at that moment, that's when you bring in an assistant coach, you bring in another tape, you bring in another team. You see that over there? See, they did it better than I could. Uh, if I would have did it this way, it would have helped
hmm,
because there comes a time around 13, 14, those children see who you really are.
mm.
And why fake it?
Right.
You're just producing them to be fakes as well, instead of just being transparent with it all. So, just my mindset and resolution.
It's true. And I'm going to be honest because that's what we are. We are radically honest on this podcast. My wedding, both you and my stepfather showed up. And I barely danced that night because I was just caught up catching up with family. And I spent probably the most time talking to you guys.
Wow.
And it would just came full circle.
Yeah.
You guys were getting along. We didn't seat you guys next to each other because you guys were both at different phases when I was younger. But
Yeah.
seeing how um, you guys came together, were laughing together, how you even said you were so glad that he was
Yes.
there. You guys made a collaborative effort to help
Yeah.
me.
I really was blessed that that part of my intentions was there, and he
Hmm.
never knew it because that was convoluted at the moment, and he never knew that that was how excited I was that there was a different phase, different way of doing things that was very beneficial that I was appreciative of, because at that moment you worried about your children's future, you
Mhm.
know. And if you can have someone become a strength where you're weak, and you can still see the other parent as being strong and what they're strong in, oh, that brings to you a combo meal of nothing but, because we were two different. I'm alpha male. you know, and he was quiet and assertive in a whole different type of way, which now creates what you are today. And had you not had that, you may not have had some of the mindset that you have. And I can't take full credit of that, other than just being happy that it happened. You know, so I'm grateful, and that moment was a awesome moment, and we still stay in touch today. Now that he understood and understands now, so seeing the marvel of the manifestation that has now brought itself to in fruition.
Yes, I'm so grateful for you all. I just think about that picture all the time when I think of fatherhood. I think of that picture of me in my wedding gown standing in the middle of both of you all.
Wow, wow.
It came full circle. Who would have known? Who would have
Who would have
known?
known? Who would have known? Yeah, and it was a real wonderful moment for me to be able to express it, because he was holding something in vain that he didn't even know never existed, you
Hmm.
know. Um, but the ending product, when you have a real father, they can go through uh, what they may think is right or not right or certain, and still be what they're supposed to be for that child, and be unmovable. And you had that in both aspects, and it has now come to you, and now it's given you another propelling of life to be successful and happy and full of joy by choice.
Thank you. Thank you. I have to just say live on air, I am so grateful. So very grateful for you, our relationship. Like I said, you raised me. I saw you grow up. So it
Yes,
it
you did. Yes, you did.
and you've always had a layer of transparency even as we were young. And I think it was to bridge that gap because we didn't get as much access to you as you would have liked.
Yeah,
So when we were with you, you were just, talking our ears off, telling us everything you could. You were just trying to make up. And I think because we've always had that layer, that's why when anything happened, it may have been a lot more explosive because it's like
yeah.
this moment that could have been drawn out if we had everyday access to each other.
Wow.
It couldn't be. We just, and we're both, you are a fire sign and I am your daughter. So it just will always be explosive.
Always.
I'll never forget you telling me often, wow, I know you get that from me. I know you get that from me.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I wouldn't trade some of those days for nothing. Um, Times I couldn't sleep, had to change my schedule just to be, and I'll be up all night long. The traveling 2 or 3 hours just for, no, 6 something hours just for 1 hour of your time. It was all still worth it, because the joy to see you um, be in you, that had nothing to do with me. Um, I still hold the picture of you in your yellow dress with your little red on, when you had your play, and I said, "Wow, she got a bunch of makeup on." But but I love those. It was just life changing moments of destiny for me. So to see you here now, I'm at peace, and I'm really at peace um, of where you're at, your decisions, whole things. Um, because I'm confident in you.
Thank you. That means a lot. No matter what we say, no matter what people are saying, if they go non contact with a parent or anything, we're still children inside. And that
Yeah,
approval is something that we are always after.
yeah, yeah. And I think I put that in that when I wrote that, was not annoying or avoiding,
Hmm.
but affirming.
Hmm.
Yeah. because you can avoid a thing, um, and in that avoidance, you should be affirming. You could be annoying because you are talking somebody down on what you don't like, whether it's right or wrong, or but still, there's a time to affirm. Because even in a wrong decision, affirm resolution.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
confident that decision you make, whether right or wrong, I affirm that you're smart enough to figure it out. See, that's a good way of saying I don't agree,
Yep.
but don't figure it out because I can help summons the part in you that may have been stagnant or may be in a place of infatuation, whatever the case may be. I found that there's a different way to skin a cat, and that had to be learned. And you probably saw me evolve to that place, you know,
Yep.
because
Oh,
before I'm just,
especially with dating.
oh man, yeah, yeah. Because when you know what you know, you're gonna ensure by any ways necessary that it.
Mhm.
But there's a different way that could have been done, and sometimes you have the right mindset, right thought, but you just have the wrong approach.
Mhm.
There's a way of knowing a will, having the wisdom for the will, but then having spiritual understanding of it all.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's in Colossians 1 and 9.
Of course. Of course.
and and for so long I knew what I saw,
Mhm.
but did I have the wisdom to execute and to explain what I saw so that it can compel and not cause somebody to run away? And then did I have enough understanding on why I had to use a different way of conversing to
Mhm.
show what I saw? Because what you see can get you jacked up because you don't know how to put it on the right plate. So
Yeah.
I'm learning. So all I have to say is thank you for being my huckleberry.
I
So
just I really appreciate I've always appreciated this about you. It's just how open you are. Like you will always break it down. You've always been a teacher. You've of course you felt most comfortable teaching the word of God, but you are a teacher at heart. So if anything, you will try to break it down where you're coming from. Even roots. Everything, everything.
never forgot it though, did you? You never
Never
forgot it.
forgot it. Never forgot it.
Five
Um,
heartbeats too. Don't forget the five heartbeats, okay?
oh my gosh, I that's a core memory. But you would turn anything into a message, and so that's how I look at things now, and it makes me appreciate art on a deeper level because I just have that teacher side of me, like this is teaching you something, and
Yeah,
that is how the greatest writers write. Though they want people to take those messages and spend
yeah.
forever conversing about them.
And I think that's what journaling does. Um, a lot of people like to be complex,
Hmm.
um, but complexity is only um, a multiplicity of simplicity.
Hmm.
So if you break something complex, it'll come down to something simple. But you keep multiplying what's simple, it becomes complexity. But to the reader and to the listener, why be complex if nobody can understand what you're saying? So I believe in speaking it in a nugget to get attention, but
Hmm.
then giving it so that they can understand and leave out that you really said something. Not the way I orated it, but you're going to leave out with the understanding more and you're going to leave out with, oh, that was profound. You know,
Hmm.
it's going to be something that you can share yourself. So back to journaling.
Yes, it does go back to it. I don't want people to just go, "Oh, that was deep." Like, did you understand what I said? Does it feel accessible to you? Because if it doesn't, I didn't communicate effectively.
True. Because even if I journal something and it seems too deep, like I got it, but okay, let me break it down. So
Hmm.
if I go back, am I going to remember
Yep.
that? I'm going to remember that nugget the way it was just given to me. I need to ensure that I got it to the down to the shoestrings. Um, and that's where I come through a whole different analogies of things because what I watch, what I see, I use it all. Um, and that's another part of journaling. So you're helping me to realize that even more. I just thought my mother used to tell me, "Stop all that jotting. You're jotting everything down. You're writing on everything." I said, "Mama's gonna pay off one day." And she said her brother used to do it, my Uncle Charles, and he was always jotting stuff down and putting numbers down as a kid. And she says, "Well, I guess that's what made him successful, because he had all these businesses in town and all
Mhm.
these houses and real estate." And I said, "Well, I guess he did something right. I don't see you jotting nothing down. And we ain't got all them houses and homes and Dairy Queens." So it gave me more ability to keep writing. And as I kept writing, she began to see something in me. And she would say, "What you writing?"
Mhm.
So things began to change from there. And it became a part of me. So I'm glad she shared that with me, that I believe has really have made me successful today, and taking my gift into a calling.
Yeah, as you should. And she was always proud of you writing. When she would see me write, she would always mention how you wrote everything down.
Wow, wow. DNA on display.
On display, on display. Now, I do have a little bit of a spicy question. This might be some hot tea for the
Right.
audience, but I do think that you could speak to this and give some great insight. As a father, and as you said, you were divorced before. So, as a father who had to co parent, which is going to be more common, what
Mhm.
advice could you give to young fathers trying to navigate that?
What I would say is transparency, resolve, transparency and resolve. There first must be a love for the child more than anything else, and that will cause you to find whatever realms there is for you to first express to them that love. At that moment, the children need to know that you love them.
Mhm,
Any arguments with the parent could kill the side of you showing the love you have for them.
mhm,
Go out of your way, schedule yourself, sacrifice, strategize, to be with them at every moment. And I realized this, that if I couldn't be with them every day, I would make the moments momentum. I would cause momentum with the moment for another moment.
mhm,
I actually wrote something before that, um, it's not just the moment, but use the moment to create momentum. And that momentum will create a movement. That now movement caused both of you all to be moving. And what are we moving toward? Another moment.
mhm,
And that movement will sooner or later cause uh, some mountains to be moved, which means some obstacles that once was there now will be moved. And then later on, that moment will become a real manifestation, which means you see the ending result of it and you can explain why. So from the moment to momentum, use that movement, take advantage of that movement, and watch it begin to move some mountains that becomes manifestation. So, and all of that, stay consistent.
mhm.
Stay consistent. And it should be a little bit easier now because now you have FaceTime. We
Right.
didn't have FaceTime back then in there. Um, be active in their schooling. You can't get denied from the school. Um, get on, not just get your name on the list, but be there, know the teachers, and be like me, show up out of nowhere. I show up out of nowhere just to show my face. um, but constantly love, not so much buying things, but allow the times that you are with them, act like it's the last time you're going to ever be with them, to, to allow that moment to become so much momentum for next, because
Mhm.
they're fighting so much. So that's the advice that I would give.
That's good advice, and I can tell that that comes from experience because that is what you did. All of the moments, not every moment, but so many
Mhm.
moments were larger than life, and we would build on them. Like, I can't wait to tell dad about this because I remember this one time he told me this. So next time I'm going to tell him how whatever moment made me remember it or made me,
Yeah,
use that wisdom. That happened so much growing up.
yeah.
So that's great advice. And of course, yes. love above all. You
Yeah,
have to just put that at the forefront. And that goes for co-parenting or even just parenting. Even when you're parenting, you have to just put everything aside to make sure that love is at the forefront because they don't, I mean, children are selfish as they should be. They don't
yeah,
care about whatever else you got going on. They don't.
nah, nah. But the key to that part is resolve.
Mhm.
You got to have a resolve. Everything ain't gonna go according to what you want with the other
Mhm.
parent, but you got to find a place of resolve. If you lose what you wanted today, lose with resolve so you don't lose again to something
Mhm.
else. The way you react in this situation could help, especially if you're not in control. So
Mhm.
resolve, 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 and make sure the mate that you may have, boyfriend, girl, that is not conflicting anything with the children, because that brings upon another issue.
Mhm.
Um, so you got to bring upon resolve with that as well. And how that resolve may be, I'm not sure. Um, if they don't get along, don't bring them along with them. There must be a resolve to let them know that they are the supreme only being when you're with them. Nothing else matters but them. So,
Yeah, I hear that a lot. I have been researching and talking to fathers, and I have heard that is a constant thing where they have to make sure that whoever they allow into their lives aren't in conflict with the place that their children hold in their lives.
yeah,
So that's a whole another obstacle that can be its own episode, honestly. I wasn't aware that was a big thing.
huge, huge. And if it becomes a competition, oh yeah, they got to go. Why? Because I'm on assignment with who I brought into this world. You were already here. I do love you. I get it. I got it. But
Mhm.
guess what? That right there is my responsibility because
Mhm.
that's my DNA on display.
DNA
And
on display.
I don't want them to have to find out through somebody else. And if they do, you lose the you lose the reverence of responsibility that
Mm,
equates to respect. So I equate respect from reverence and responsibility. But they don't always see reverence first. You got to have responsibility and then reverence, and that's going to create respect. So,
I love that formula. Well, we have one more segment. This has been a great conversation, but we have this one last segment. I'm going to introduce it, something to sip on. All right, so this is where Papa Mac, aka Pastor Mac, this is where you get on your podium when it comes to fatherhood. Any wisdom, just something for the congregation to sip on. What would you like to leave them with today?
wow. Um, what I would have them to think on is it's not where you start, it's where you end.
Mm,
And you got to look at the state of the union. Um, as a as a father, I have to look at where I have my mistakes and ensure that I don't pass those on. I need to flourish those good things and flush out the bad because my children are my DNA on display. And my DNA is just not by what I brought into the world, but what I'm rearing for the world.
mm,
And there's still another birthing that needs to come to pass, and it's still up to us, and that's our responsibility. There's going to be some losses. I may lose the battle, but I'm not going to lose the war. And that humility causes me to understand the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is the greatest responsibility in life is that who you brought into this world.
Mom, time's up. I packed some bread so I could do it later.
that was good. I wish we could have did this with less interruptions, like normal, but
But there's always interruptions that's going to happen in life. There's interruptions, but look and see what how it intertwines. Everything happened for a reason, and it's how you resolve that.
Mm-hmm.
Because as fatherhood, you're gonna deal with interruptions. You're gonna deal with all kind of things that comes, but how do you handle it? And learning how to handle things in grace, just as you did there. I believe one last line that I probably could give that I learned was facing your fears will help you to focus on your future better. And once you're in line with focusing on your future, you'll find favor to deal with the fear of right,
Mm-hmm.
wrong, or indifferent while fatherhooding and head you in the right direction. Because that inner lane that you have to deal with sometimes in between seeing the fear of what I did and how can I handle this and actually becoming it
Mm-hmm.
can get you paralyzed. But if you can face your fears, fix your faults, you'll be able to forge to your future, which is the future not of you, but who you have brought in with your DNA on display.
Oof, that's the title of this episode. I am going to make it the title. DNA on display is such a strong phrase, such a strong calling, and such a strong responsibility. Thank you so much for being part of the show. I am so, this is full circle for me from helping jot down your ideas.
That was on purpose too. That was on purpose, helping me to write some things out. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And it has made you so well rounded outside of a church realm because I never wanted to be pastor, preacher. I wanted to be daddy. That was going to be a byproduct of what I do, not who I am. So hopefully you know me as daddy, not Pastor Mac as everybody else does. So
I do. Trust me. I mean, and that's how my friends know you. They know you're a pastor. You can't miss it. But they're like, yeah, he's a cool guy. I mean, let's not even get started on my wedding. It was amazing.
uh,
Your
uh,
speech was so creative, so great. And I could still feel the spirit. I could still feel God in it. He didn't quote scriptures.
well, I had to be quite resolved. And
Hmm.
this is your day, not my day. And I want to ensure I did what you asked me to do in the flavor that I know would bless not just you, but also Paul as well for the future, you know. So I showed you I was well rounded as well that day.
Yes, you did. You impressed all of us. So thank you so much. This has just been such a blessing. There's no better way to do Father's Day on Verbal Tea than to have you on, truly.
This is
So,
my Father's Day gift. And I'm going to get off of here and go cry somewhere, cuddle up somewhere and cry because you're my firstborn. And when you were born, I didn't talk for 3 days because I had to face my fears, my
oh,
fault,
yes.
and forge to my future. And it changed my life forever. I want you to know
Thanks, Dad. Thank you.
that. Love you. Love you.
I'm like trying to be professional and this podcaster, but I'm with my dad. But this is taking Rebel Tea to another level. I told you guys we were going to get vulnerable and go deeper this season, and here it is on display. Before we say goodbye to my father, I do want him to let you guys know where you can stay in touch with him and what he's doing.
Oh, well, you can get in touch with me with Impact Ministries. You can find my messages on that platform on YouTube as well. It's Impact Ministries Hagerstown Campus. That's on Facebook and same as well as on YouTube. Anything visual. And other than that, when you see Verbal T, when you see um, K Globe, you see me. So you don't have to see me directly, but you seeing me directly through this woman right here. Love you so much. I love you so much. And
Thank
I'm proud of you.
you. I love you too. Thank you so much. And of course, you all know that you can find us at Verbal Tea Time on Instagram and TikTok, and Verbal Tea on anywhere you stream podcasts, be that Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, all of it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time, be well, spend some time with your thoughts, and have a good rest of your week.